Welcome back to episode 3 in this 3-part series with my friend Cami Baker Miller, where we are awakening radiance, divine light. Episode 1, we talked about from illness to illumination, and Cami shared some of her journey. In episode 2, we not only discussed the art of radiant expression, we demonstrated it by making a mandala, and I hope that you go back and practice that one because it was so beneficial. And today we're going to talk about unleashing the inner goddess. We did talk about the inner goddess a little bit in episode 2, but this week we're really going to talk about how you can harness that, embody it, feel it, and practice it as an identity shift. So this particular episode is focusing on being open to transformation, right? Some of you may not be familiar with this inner goddess language or this feeling or this feminine energy. Some of you may be uncomfortable, but what I have learned is the more I remain open to receive, the more I gain wisdom, clarity, strength, and growth. The other thing I want you to gain from this is the art of story sharing and sharing with others. It can be hard letting out some of these inner shadows and vulnerabilities and sharing them with other people, but when you share things, it cuts a problem in half and empowers you to be stronger and brighter. So we want to talk to you about Cami's huge commitment to being a writer, artist, and a truth teller. I want you to dive into that a little bit.
What are you thinking about? What aspect of that are you thinking about?
I feel like you don't hold back, like you tell people the truth. You share your feelings, you share your vulnerability with others, and a lot of times we have fear built around that, and it keeps us in a cage.
It was kind of, I think I took it step by step. Really started letting people see who I was when I was going through my cancer treatment. Really started talking about that whole process, both the good and the bad. I didn't sugarcoat it. And from that point, it just evolved. I started looking more at my patterns, where I was holding back and how I wasn't asking for what I needed. It's still a process. It's still a practice. And that's what it is. It's a practice. What do you do with practices? You keep doing them until you get better.
Exactly.
I like saying practice makes progress. I never say practice makes perfect, because there's always room to improve.
If I'm not growing, I'm dying. I hope to be growing and evolving and changing until the last breath I take on this earth, because that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Life is a journey.
It is.
It's not really a destination.
Journey. You don't want to stand in place.
Right.
One of the things that I would like to say about Truth Teller, I hope I didn't lose this train of thought. I forget things a lot. One of the things that always stuck with me was you're only as sick as your secrets. And it's the truth. If you're able to open yourself up enough to share with another human being, you can find your one trusted person and share something that you've never been able to share before. I promise you it makes it better. It makes it so, you will feel so much lighter.
I've worked with a lot of different people who have shared some really deep truths with me. The most important key factor is that you find someone that you can trust to hold that for you.
That you feel
and
safe
not,
with.
That's why we create safe containers. Things aren't going to be spewed all over or misconstrued. We create these safe containers where we feel we can trust another person. And that can be tough, especially if you've been hurt in the past by people talking about you or saying things about you, judgment, fear of rejection. So it's a practice, like she said. And one of the things that has made that so much easier is the fact of using writing as a sacred practice of release and revelation. I want you to share with them a little bit about your process. I mean, I saw it firsthand when we went to Florida a couple of years ago, and Cami gets up and she enters this meditative state, which we're going to talk about and share with you. But in this meditative state, and just journals her to her heart's content in the morning. Share with them about your journal practice, and then I'll share a little bit about mine.
It has evolved a lot since Florida 2 years ago. I actually do not handwrite my journals anymore. I started having too many, so I'd move to an iPad and an Apple Pen. I realized I have shaking from the lymphedema from having my lymph nodes removed. I started typing my journal in an app called Day One. I've incorporated this into my journal practice every morning. I can go back and see every single entry I've made on that same day in past years. It's helped create this pattern recognition around times of year, around certain lessons that keep coming up, because we keep having the same lessons put in our lives until we break the patterns. And so that's been a very interesting aspect of it. But I will type, I'll get up, I'll get coffee, I'll just start writing whatever comes to mind. Sometimes I'll channel some writing, my higher self, my spirit guides. It all depends on how you want to see it. Sometimes I'll play a song at random, just hit random on a playlist and see if I get any messages that way. If I get to a point where I'm stuck and I can't get around whatever feels like it's in my way, I pull up another app called Marco Polo. It's a video walkie-talkie kind of thing. And I have a group chat going on there that's just me with myself. And I'll pull it out and I'll just start recording. And sometimes I just feel like the spoken word is such a different frequency than the written word. It's like the written word's a little bit more dense and the spoken word's a little bit more light and melodic. Sometimes you can get that energy moving. I call it a walkie-talkie for a reason, because I'm walking around the whole time I'm talking. And usually that'll get whatever stuck energy out.
What you said was so vitally important. The fact that you channel your spirit guides, God, or whatever you want to call it. We are a little speck in this cosmic energy. I do believe that there are signs, things that will come to us if we remain open, right? And that's where the power of meditation is so imperative, because prayer is like petition, or putting it out in the universe to whatever spiritual belief you have. You put that out there, and then when you sit quietly and just reflect, that's when you get the messages. That's when you're open to receive. I journal every single day, and I start out by writing gratitude, like at least 5, 6 things that I'm grateful for. And it started out as a couple of words. I'm grateful for the sunshine, and it has evolved to, like, for example, this morning, I'm just so grateful that I've had this experience with Cami, allowing me to slow down and have some peaceful, quiet self-reflection every day. I write those things down, and then I'll start journaling, because when you start your thought process in that manner, not only does it call in what you're putting out, like I'm putting out gratitude, I'm going to call gratitude back in. Then I can journal about it, and journal about all the things that I'm so thankful for that are happening in my life right now. There's also science behind it, right? When we do these practices, it literally changes your brain chemistry.
I usually do that before I get out of bed in the morning. I'll sit there and think of gratitude, but I'll also, before I get out of bed, give myself a hug, maybe a kiss on each. I'm grateful for this body. That comes up a lot for me.
Yeah, I said, oh, my legs they're so bumpy, and then I changed it. I am so grateful for these 2 legs that I have carried me across this earth for miles and miles and miles, and they never let me down. And I've gone so many places, I've seen so many things, I have experienced so much joy and beauty because of these legs.
And it's crazy. It is crazy how much it can shift your whole day to use that kind of practice.
But it's being open, right? It's being open and vulnerable and willing to put yourself out there and share that. And we've shared some things with each other about personal things that we may not share openly, but it does help you shift your perspective and put it in a more positive, aligned view. One of the things that we wanted to do with you today, Cami had mentioned, her morning practice has evolved and changed and shifted. That's why these life lessons, these grief lessons, they never end. They're unlimited. We'll keep learning until the day we die. She has incorporated more healing techniques into her morning. You want to talk about that a little bit, and then we'll guide them on a little technique they can use. You're going to talk about the things that you do now in the morning, like you do some tapping exercises, some meditations.
I love Gayla Darling, and her outlook on life is just, seek your joy, basically. Have fun. So as such, she created this morning tapping routine, and it is phenomenal. It's every positive affirmation you can think of in the most turbocharged way, and you're just tapping your way through like 6 minutes of it. And by the end of it, I'm usually dancing while I'm tapping and I'm smiling really big. It's wonderful, and you can find it on her Instagram. She has it pinned right at the very top. I've always liked tapping because I did it a little differently than everybody else. This is just another aspect of it. But I've gotten to where I'll start doing that while my coffee is brewing, and then move on from that to the writing.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, I have talked with other people that said, I'm just not a writer. I don't do that first thing in the morning. That's okay. You don't have to tap like everybody else. I tap my own way. Maybe right here. They say do here.
I like
Maybe
here
I'll
too. A lot of people don't say do it over your heart.
The thing with tapping is
do what feels good for you.
It's one of those practices, right? We implement practices that we can do aside from thinking or writing. If you combine these two energetic practices, like I have a morning mantra that I say every day. If I say my morning mantra and do some quiet tapping, when you do tapping, it interrupts your circuitry of thoughts. For example, I can be doing something and not fully engaged mentally, and then I'll forget where I am. I'll forget what I'm doing. I put my phone down. I can't remember it. Every day I have to have somebody call me. But when you're engaged in a practice, such as reading the morning mantra, which I do have some examples of in a free book that you can get in the show notes. If you tap while you're saying that, it's going to interrupt that scattered brain and keep you zoned in on the thing that you're doing. I love that idea. I'm definitely going to start doing that with my morning mantra. Another thing that we want to help you with is practicing calling out your inner goddess, like acknowledging your inner goddess, embodying that inner goddess, recognizing it, feeling it. You could call it that godlike spirit. You can call that energy. You can call it goddess. I don't care what you call it, but there's definitely something bigger than us, and it can flow through us and grow our spirit. So I invite you to join us in this practice. Cami's going to lead us on some simple breathing techniques, and then I'm going to ask you to call forth your inner goddess. After you're done with this podcast, go back and listen again. Write down some of the feelings that are evoked and say this in the mirror every single day to make it grow, okay? So I'm going to have her start on this guided breathing practice.
One of the things that I would like to say first of all is that when you are trying to find your inner goddess, what you're doing is trying to get back into your body and feel your body. One of the easiest ways to do that is if you start paying attention to your breath. I don't do anything that radical with the breath. I work on diaphragmatic breathing, where you just simply imagine your chest, that little spot where your breastbone meets, and you just start thinking about it expanding. You can close your eyes while you're doing this. You just think about it expanding with each breath, and you just breathe very slowly and intentionally. As you do that, you can start feeling your heart rate calm down. You can feel your thoughts quiet. You can feel that breath moving your chest up and down. You can start thinking about where you want to send that breath in your body. Is there anywhere in your body that feels stuck or needs your attention? You just let the breath go where it will. On every inhale, let it travel where it will as it raises and lowers your chest. You start feeling safe and comfortable. You start sensing the light growing from that spot as well. That's your divine feminine essence. That's your inner goddess speaking to you.
So I invite you to embody that inner light. And I also invite you to practice a longer exhale than an inhale. Scientifically, that activates that parasympathetic nervous system that gets you to that place of calm and ease. As Cami said, that light is growing and glowing. And that's your inner goddess, your feminine energy, your godlike spirit. I see you in that energy, that God, that goddess. Where do you see the goddess? In your heart? In your throat? Is it the way you speak? Maybe it's in your muscles, the way you lift and carry people. Is it in your brain, the way you think of other people? What do you see in your body that embodies the inner goddess? Think about that. Keep breathing, concentrating on each breath and feeling where that's guiding you. And then move on to, I feel you. When do you feel that goddess strength more prominently? Is it when you're quiet? Is it when you're in a group with like-minded people? Is it when you're writing or practicing a creative outlet like music, dance, or art? When do you feel that? It's important to recognize that, because when you can recognize it, you can practice it more often. And finally, I want you to say, I trust you. What do you trust that power, that inner goddess, to do? I trust you to guide people through life's darkest moments. That's what I'm doing. And I had to come to this, like, why me? Who am I to help you through grief, right? But I had to lean into that inner goddess and say, I'm ready. I'm ready to help you, and that's my purpose. The more you practice this, and you can make a sticky note and stick it in the bathroom window and say it every day, the more clear it becomes, the stronger it becomes, and the larger it becomes a part of you.
When I first started a mirror meditation, I wrote a letter to myself, and just to show you the evolution, when I first started it, I said, I trust you, I honor you, I know you will never lead me astray. And that was the place I was in. I was feeling like I needed to affirm to myself that I could trust myself. You'll go from there if you keep saying these things to yourself, and they'll evolve over time. Your mantra will change, and the things that you say to yourself in the mirror, which is so powerful to talk to yourself in the mirror, or use Marco Polo like I do and play it back. I record things and play them back to myself. It'll evolve, and you'll be able to look back at some of the things you wrote when you first started and think, wow, I've come so far. I think that's very important too, to look back and see just how far you've come in the process.
Absolutely. Yeah. And celebrate each little win. Celebrate how far you've come. Celebrate how much you've grown, because you will. I promise, as long as you start doing the action and be open, transformation will come. So I look forward to you. You know, you don't have to share if you don't want to, but I look forward to you. I look forward to the transformation that you're going to experience from doing this exercise. So go out and catch some Soulshine, and next week is our 4th episode, and we are going to be talking about living in full color. All right, I'll see you next week on Catch Some Soulshine.